All right, hello, my awesome Math 8 students. It is Wednesday. It is day 27 of quarter 4. We have about 4 weeks left, so we're almost done. Here is the template of what you need to do for today's Edpuzzle. So you're going to be copying down these 6 problems. We are doing review on volume of a cylinder, cone, and sphere, because actually next week we are going to do a project that is going to require you to find the volume of some of these objects. It's going to be a pretty straightforward project. Don't go, oh no, a project. It's going to be pretty easy. I'm going to give you guys super great directions, and it's actually going to be kind of fun, I hope. So that's why I wanted to do some review before we start that project on Monday. Alright, so you have your title and your first and last name, so make sure you take care of that for this template right here. This will be posted on the Edpuzzle assignment as a PDF as well. Also, here's the worksheet we're going to use as a whole. If you can print this, great. If not, don't worry. I'll also attach this as a PDF, and it has the steps available for you to reference later and the formulas, the 3 formulas we need to use. So here's this worksheet. Okay, quick reminder, the formula for volume of a cylinder is volume equals pi r squared times height, or I use volume equals pi times r times height. I would probably write this formula down because I am going to be using it throughout the video. Alright, and here's the formula we're going to use for volume of a cone. It is volume equals 1/3 times pi r squared times h. So I also use volume equals 0.3 times pi times r times h. I would write this down as well. And the last formula we use is volume of a sphere, which is volume equals 4/3 pi times r cubed, or I use volume equals 1.3 times pi times r times r. I would write this down as well. Alright, so here's example 1. We're going to follow our 5 steps that we've been using over the last couple weeks to help us solve the volume of each 3D figure. Okay, probably the most important thing we need to figure out first is what type of 3D figure are we dealing with. We have cones, cylinders, and spheres. So I'm looking at this figure and I'm like, is this a cone, a cylinder, or a sphere? Because that's going to determine what type of formula or which formula I am going to use to help me find the volume of this figure. So I'm looking at it and I'm dealing with a cylinder. Alright, so we said it's a cylinder, so the formula for volume of a cylinder is pi times r times h. So step 1 is done. We wrote the formula, and now we need to identify the radius and the height. We know our radius is 4.9 feet. It's from the center to the edge of the cylinder. And then our height is 7.8 feet, which is just top to bottom of the figure. Okay, step 2 is done. We identified the values. Now step 3, substitute the values into the formula. So as you can see, I rewrote the formula, but I took away the letters. Instead of putting the letters, I'm going to put the actual values of the letters. So it's the value of r, which is radius. We said the value is 4.9 feet. And the value of our height, which is h, is 7.8 feet. Alright, so I substituted the values into the formula, so step 3 is done. And now we need to move on to step 4, which is apply the formula and multiply straight through. So first, what is 4.9 feet times 4.9 feet times 7.8 feet? That is going to give me a total of 187.278 feet cubed, right? Because we multiply feet 3 times, so it's going to be feet cubed. Don't forget to bring down the pi. And then what's pi times 187.278 feet cubed? That is going to give me a total volume of 588.05 feet cubed. So that is the total volume of this cylinder. Alright, now I want you guys to go ahead and give number 2 a try on your own. It's almost the same as number 1, but just different numbers, so make sure that you're using these 5 steps and you're following the steps and the process. As long as you're using the right formula, you should be good to go. Alright, so let's go ahead and do example number 3. So first thing I need to do is decide what type of shape we are dealing with, because that's going to determine the formula I need to use. So I'm filling in my shape, and it looks like we're dealing with a cone. Alright, so the volume of a cone is going to be 0.3 times pi times r times h. So step 1 is done. We found the formula. And now we need to do step 2, which is identify the radius and the height. So my radius is going to be 5 centimeters. It's from the center of the circle to the edge of the circle. And then we're dealing with the height, which is from top to bottom, which is going to be 8.7 centimeters. This 10 centimeters is just the length of this slanted line, so don't let that confuse you. Make sure you're going from top to bottom of the cone. So we don't even need that 10 centimeters to find the volume. All right, so step 2 is done. Now let's do step 3, which is substitute the values into the formula. So instead of putting an r, I'm going to put the value of our radius, which is 5 centimeters. I'm going to put that twice. And then the value of our height is 8.7 centimeters. So step 3 is done. I substituted everything into the formula. And now we're going to move on to step 4, which is multiplying straight through. So what's 5 centimeters times 5 centimeters times 8.7 centimeters? Plug that into your calculator. You should get you a total of 217.5 centimeters cubed. Don't forget that cubed. I need to bring down the rest of the formula. Plug this into your calculator, and that should give you a total volume of 204.885 centimeters cubed. So that is the total value of this cone. All right, go ahead and complete number 4 on your own. It is the same as number 3, but just different numbers. Make sure you use the steps and that you guys are using the correct formula. All right, so let's do number 5. So the first thing we need to do is decide what kind of 3D shape we're looking at. So I need to know which shape we're dealing with in order to use the correct formula. So it looks like we're dealing with a sphere. So now that we know we're dealing with a sphere, we know which formula to use, which is volume equals 1.3 times pi times r times r times r. So step 1 is done. We wrote the formula. Step 2, we actually just need to identify the radius for this formula, which, as you can see right here, it is 4.9 centimeters. Yay, I finally got it. Our radius is from the edge to the center of our sphere, so we know that. So our radius is 4.9 centimeters. All right, so step 2 is done. Now I need to do step 3, which is substitute the values into the formula. So I need to substitute what is the value of r. Well, we know our value of r is 4.9 centimeters. So I'm going to write that 3 times. Okay, step 3 is done. Now we're going to apply step 4, which is multiply all the way straight through. So what's 4.9 centimeters times 4.9 centimeters times 4.9 centimeters? That gives you a total of 117.649 centimeters cubed, because remember we multiplied centimeters 3 times, and then we still have volume equals 1.3 times pi times that 117.649. I'm going to multiply all of that together, throw that into your calculator, and it will give you a total volume of 480.24 centimeters cubed. So the total volume of the sphere is that. Alright, so now for the rest of your homework, I need you to complete problems 2, 4, and 6. Make sure you use the examples I went over as a resource. Also, get ready for the project we're going to start next week. I promise it's not going to be too hard. It's pretty straightforward. And if you need any help, I hope this clarified anything. But if you need any help, please email me or send me a quick text, Miss Turner.